from being dropped off the internet. Yes, I love technology. Technology is so awesome that it just keeps you on your toes, right? If we didn't have technology, we would not know what it's like to live, apparently. And so we are back on the air as far as I can tell. Let me see to make sure. And I'm not sure where I dropped off. I'm not sure if I was just laughing hysterically at the lady that got stabbed by her dog or not. But that's where I was when I noticed that we got dropped off. So I can see we're back on again. And so I was telling a story, and I think I was off during this part because I really found it hysterical that there's things that happen in law enforcement that during my 24 years in Anaheim Police Department, when I was in either the Detective Bureau or as a canine handler or just simply working in patrol or on the SWAT team even was more amazing at what things that people will do and what happens. But the stories that I hear as a dog trainer, because no matter where I go, of course, on the back of my truck, as you've seen on the banner there on Falco Canine Academy's Facebook page, is everybody sees it, right? And they see, oh, human training for your dog. That's funny because that really is true, isn't it? And so we get into these conversations about their dog, always about their dog, and so that is my life, right? So I'm at the gym, and one of the trainers there that I was talking to, she related a story where her there was a police talk there. That was a police sentence. She related to me that when her boyfriend comes over and was sleeping over, I think it was the first night that he slept over, living in sin. The dog, while he was sleeping, pooped right on his forehead. And it's just like, you got to be kidding me. I would have been gone. I would have been out of there. It's a little Shih Tzu, and it pooped on her head or on his head, and apparently has not done it since. But I told her, I said, well, that's probably he was probably trying to tell you something. Dogs are very good at character reading, and you might want later on you're going to say, you know what, I should have listened to my dog when he pooped on his head. Also, my police dog, when I first brought him home, he was a small young puppy. He was only like I want to say that he was maybe just a year old, which is pretty young for a police dog. It's on the younger side, and so he was kind of scrawny too. And so my brother and I lived together in Corona. And my brother says, "Oh, that's no police dog. You got to know how my family is. Everything you do is less than perfect and not that great." And so he says, that's not a police dog. You're going to really go, you're going to think that dog's going to do anything for you. And so he go, get out of here, dog. And he would like tease the dog. And little did he know later on that dog would have the largest number of arrest and narcotics fines than any other dog in Anaheim Police Department history, and still holds the record today. But he would tease the dog. And so, on occasion, I'd have the dog inside the house. And one day I couldn't find the dog. And I could find him in the house, but I didn't know where he was. And so I go, Falco, where are you? And I'm looking around. And then all of a sudden I go into my brother's room, and he had literally pooped and peed right in the center of my brother's bed. Another thing that the dog did, one day it was raining. And so I put him in the garage because the backyard then used to flood during a big rain, back when we used to get rain here in California. And so he's in the garage, and that's where the dryer and the washing machine are. And we got a basket of clothes, which is a combination of my clothes and my brother's clothes. And so after the dog had been there, I think overnight or several hours, I wake up in the morning and I go into the garage to let him out and let him go do his thing. And when I go, I see there's clothes kind of separated now. The clothes that were once in the basket are now separated. Now, my clothes were separated in kind of in a nice little pile, not folded or anything. That would have been great if they would have been folded, but they were like separated and over here. On the right were all my brother's clothes, and they were shredded into tiny pieces. My dog had shredded and tore them up in an entire place in pieces. And so the story that goes along with the stabbing is that there's just some incredible things that happen with dogs that just either make you laugh or make you so angry. And in this case, the woman got stabbed by the dog, and that really is a true story. All right. So now that I'm back on, and again, I'm in a number of our Facebook pages, including the Bed Bug Detection Dog private page and our public page. and I'm also in the Train the Dog Trainer Facebook page that we have. And so what I want to talk about is something that comes up quite often in my testimony in regard to police dogs and specifically detection dogs. And this is the concept of them understanding why it's necessary for dogs and handlers to be certified outside of their regular training, outside of their, what would be normal for a dog to conduct a scenario that has been set up by somebody. So let's talk about, and this relates also to pet dogs. So I don't want our pet dog people to flee or go away. Is that when we are training, when we are doing stuff in any one of those things, whether it's police dogs that are trained to bite or detection or pet dogs, is that we often go to a location. We go to a field, or we go to a training facility, or we go to some like tow yard with police dogs that we go to often, right? There's always the very first time the dog has ever been there, but as training goes on, there becomes more difficult to find different places to train because of liability issues that people bring up and other issues. So like on our training field for the pet dogs, we train over at Barry and Lambert in Brea, California, on this green grassy field, and we show up there for 7 days 7 days each, 1 day a week for 7 days, and that's where the training takes place. We do the obedience. We teach the dog to sit down, stay, come when we call. Narcotics detection dogs, we often go to a church over here, the Yorba Linda Friends Church. They allow us to train at their church. It's a huge campus with building after building after building, and they allow us to train their fantastic location. We also train at Grandma's house. We also often train at my house. We train at the Chase Hotel and Suites. We train now we train at CrossFit Firestone. Yesterday we trained, or the day before yesterday, we trained there, and that will become a place that we show up often. In addition to that, the training aids, we often use the same training aids over and over again, in particular with bed bugs. And bed bugs, we use those training vials that have the live bed bugs inside, and we use those over and over again because they're costly. They're about $25 to $35 a piece for just 5 bugs inside of a vial. Yes, we buy them from somebody. If it's narcotics, we use the same narcotics because it's hard to get out of evidence new narcotics all the time because there's a procedure that you have to follow, and you have to get approval, and you have to get signatures and that kind of stuff. So we end up using the same narcotics for a year or 2 years, the very same ones over and over again. Explosives, same thing. Hard to get C4 and get it traded out every so often, or dynamite, or I've had the same dynamite, C4, what else? TNT, all the stuff that I have in there. It's the same stuff I've had for about 4 or 5 years. And so it's the same. And so that becomes normal. The dog will pick up that is the normal. That is what I find. Let's go with bed bugs. I find bed bugs that are in a vial with Andy's odor on them, or their handler's odor on them. Whether you use tongs or rubber gloves, it doesn't matter. The odor of the human being still gets on them. They also have the odor of the dog because the dog's nose sometimes can't help but touch it once with the little nose, and that stays on there. So that fingerprint is of the bed bugs, the nose goo and slobber and hair and odor of the handler. And so the dog finds those things. It has all those things on it, and that becomes the normal. In the pet dog thing, when we're at the field, there's always one of our trainers standing out front yelling out commands, and during that type of scenario, the dog knows it has to be obedient, right? Okay, this all is going to make a point here in just 1 minute. The next thing is the comfort level. The comfort level, it being places where you've been before with the same people that you've been before, causes you, the human being with that dog, to have a certain type of feeling, right? That certain type of feeling is mostly and usually one of comfort and feel happy, right? And feel kind of normal. Where you go to train, we're going to train. This is going to be good because we're going to have some scenarios. Hopefully my dog will be good, but if he messes up, Andy the trainer will help me through it or whatever. But there's mostly this feeling of comfort, not really that much stress, other than maybe the very first day that you get there because you don't know what myself or Gina or Derek are going to do or say and that kind of stuff. Other than that very first day, things begin to get comfortable. All right. So that's all that picture that the dog has, right? A level of comfort, using the same training aids that you've always used before, and you're in an environment where the dog has probably already smelled everything and there's really nothing new to smell, and everything's pretty normal. Occasionally something new will be in there that wasn't there before, but not that big of a deal, right? So how easy is it to train and become successful in those environments? It's really easy, right? And so when I'm looking at training records on a case that I'm looking at, the training often is perfect. the dog never makes a mistake in training. The dog is always really, really good. I've seen that all the time with our detection dogs, that they come to training and the handler will come and say, well, my dog had a tough week last week, or, about a month ago, the dog missed something that was very obvious. It was like sitting there with an arrow pointing at it, and a real search, right? And you could see that there was something there and the dog went right past it and didn't find it. And so they have that, but now they come to training and I say, okay, let's replicate that. And the dog finds it and sits. And they go, well, how come the dog didn't do it? And because it's a training, because you're using the same training aids, because you have a level of comfort, because the dog is used to this surroundings or this environment and does really well. Same thing on the pet dog field. Why does the dog perform so well at the pet dog field? Not all, but some dogs perform really well at the field, but then they go home and they go, and then I go to this place and the dog acts out and tries to drag me down to the ground. But on the field, the dog is, and there's a little halo over its head and nothing that is the problem. No, none of the problems that you see in real life are happening where the dog is trained. And so as I'm looking and I see a dog is perfect at training, number one, that means the training's too easy. You're not making the training difficult. There never should be perfect training. You should always be testing after a certain point. After you've had the dog trained, the dog's doing well, then you should be challenging both the handler and the dog. I have many scenarios where I change them so drastically that the handler's like, what the heck is this about? And why are you doing this to us? I'll do an entire training day with detection dogs and not hide a thing. There'll be nothing for them to find the entire day. And then towards the end of the day, since they haven't found anything yet, they'll start to get false alerts. Why? Because they go, gosh, are we just going to keep missing stuff? And then they go, he's going to put something in this room for sure, because we haven't had anything in the first 4 rooms we've searched. And then you'll get a false alert. Why? Because the handler now felt personally that there should be something in there and the dog sat, right? So this is how training should be as a trainer. You should begin to make things more difficult. When I've trained pet dogs, sometimes, let's go away from the field. Let's go to Home Depot. Derek has done that a couple times, taken the class somewhere else because the field becomes normal. So let's relate this to bed bug detection dogs and some of the other dogs, is that what you want to do is really challenge yourself by going somewhere else and being certified by somebody else. One of the worst things I see in these cases is when the certification is conducted by the agency that they either work for or have or train with. That is not a good representation of a dog and whether it's certified or not. And so you need to have some type of outside organization that can be trusted, that really does test you. That's the other thing. I know organizations that say, just pay us $300, we'll put you through a couple things, but don't worry about it, you'll pass either way. Don't want that, right? We want to truly be tested, right? I try to do my best to do all I can to really test them, even when I'm certifying my own teams, because there is a certification still with us that you have to go through. But I also suggest go somewhere else and be certified by them, also another organization, just so that you have that comfort level, that confidence that your dog has been certified not only by the guy who trained you and selected the dog, and of course I want the dog to be successful. I'll fail you though, unlike many trainers, but you also want that added sense of confidence that you were certified by another agency that had no financial interest in the dog and didn't care essentially whether you passed or failed. That's what you want. And so now to relate to you pet dog people, is that you want to go out. Don't just do the training at the field and then go home and think your dog is trained. You really have to take what it is that was taught at the field and now apply it at the home and apply it out somewhere. Starbucks, as you're going to Starbucks, make your dog sit and stay as you place your order, right? Sit and stay or down and stay. Don't allow the dog to jump on people. If you're working on the dog not jumping on people in the field, why are you allowing the dog to jump on people at your home or when you're on walks and that type of stuff? And so you really need to make sure that you're replicating what it is you're doing at the field and trying to do that in places where you are challenged, where the dog is in a different environment that it's not used to, and change things up and make things as difficult as possible to make sure that you can work through them. And so unlike what I saw on the case yesterday that I was in Los Angeles in federal court and looking at these training records, is that they have this perfect training records with no information on them, right? There was nothing other than pass. And in 2 years, the dog never failed, never was slow to alert. The dog was always quick to alert and found the item no matter where it was at any time. It's problematic that if you're that perfect, and we're talking about several days, not just like 4 days. But then when I watched the video of the dog searching, the dog's not searching. The dog actually peed and pooped in the middle of the search. on the side of the highway, um, and then never alerted. But yet the handler said, well, the dog showed me some signs that he was interested in something, so we went inside on a warrantless search and searched the person's vehicle. And I said, well, the dog never alerted. And they said, well, the dog, licked its lips and it smelled deeply, and that's a sign that there's narcotics inside. Okay, what does the dog do when he sticks his head in the trash can? Well, he wags his tail and he sniffs really hard. What does the dog do when he smells his tennis ball when it's hidden somewhere? Well, he wags his tail and he sniffs really hard. All right. So what made you think that for sure that when he did that on the vehicle, that it was because of narcotics? Now, is it information? Yes. If you have a bed bug detection dog and you're searching and the only place where you see a behavior change is in a nightstand, for instance, is that an alert? No. Is it a secondary alert? It could be, right? And so what do? We then say, okay, the only place we shot in the interest was on that nightstand. You don't tell people that there's bed bugs there because all you had was the dog showing a little interest, and that was the only place the dog showed interest. Now, if the dog sat, you can say, well, my dog sat, and there's possibly some bed bugs there, right? And so you still don't, right? So what do? You then put the dog away, you go in and inspect, and you look for, and you either find bed bugs or you don't. If your dog showed a bunch of interest but didn't sit, and inside there you find, let's just use a tennis ball, it's the easy one, or food of some sort. Maybe it was an old a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that one of the kids left inside the drawer to try to hide it and told mom, I ate it all, but hid it in the drawer. Do my kids do that all the time? Yes. So it was in the drawer, right? So you look inside, and this happened on a real search. Okay, this actually happened. My dog's searching this big warehouse. It was a rental furniture. They rented beds and nightstands and any furniture that could furnish a house. And so while we're searching, the dog dives for this nightstand that was sitting there in a row of other nightstands, and it's wagging its tail and it's trying to get underneath and never sits, but it's really looking like it's got to get in and that kind of stuff. So I put the dog in it down. I go walk over and I look in the drawer, nothing there. I'm looking all around. I flip the thing over, and when I flip it over, what's underneath it? A aluminum foil ball. When I open aluminum foil ball, it's a carne asada burrito, about a third of the burrito wrapped up, and it was shoved underneath the thing. Right. And so was there interest? Yes. Did the dog change behavior? Absolutely. Did the dog really show that it was interested in whatever it was that was on that thing? Yes. But it was a burrito. It was not a bed bug, right? And so same thing with narcotics. When a dog's searching, dog will do those kinds of things. We had a case with a dog out of LA County Sheriff years ago, so I can use the name. The dog is searching. There's lieutenants there and captains in the search. It was like a big, big raid. They're looking to take down these, pretty significant drug runners at that time. Significant, very significant, like a Colombian kingpin of some sort. And so they have their dog in there searching the house or the apartment, and the dog is searching. All of a sudden it gets near a bed, and it's trying to get underneath the bed, and it's a big dog, and it's trying to get under the bed, and the bed's only about this high, and it literally gets underneath and lifts up the bed to get underneath, and they think they found the mother lode. They flip over the bed, and they're thinking, yes, we found it. We know where it's at. And what's underneath there? It was a plastic tube of 4 tennis balls underneath that bed. And that's all that was there. So does a dog show interest in other things? Yes. And so how do we work around that? We begin to then throw those things in the environment and really challenge the dog. And I know I've almost kind of gone off topic here, but it's just another sign that we need to really challenge the dog. If you have a pet dog that has an issue with small dogs, do you go there right away? No, you first get the obedience trained. You first get the ground floor of your training kind of stable, right? And you want to get that foundation of training really stable and really good without the other dogs. And then you begin to introduce small dogs. Do you have the dogs right next to the dog right in the beginning? No, you go in an area where there's dogs maybe at a distance. The dog can hear them yapping, right? So maybe you go near a dog park and go near the small dog part of the dog park on the outside of the fence and do some obedience outside of the fence. And first get your dog in a place where it can be trusted and the obedience becomes reliable in that environment. And then you begin to work closer and closer. Right now you have little dogs that are near that dog until the dog can be trusted. So you work up to that, right? You don't stay at Lambert and Barry and think that that's going to get your training done. No, your training has to take place at the locations. Bring in those distractions, bring in those things that you know your dog is interested in, that will pull the dog's brain off of the task of doing whatever it's supposed to be doing, whether it's police work, detection, or pet dogs. And you really challenge yourself and take it outside of your comfort zone. And that's where you're really going to become successful. And document it if you're in one of the working dog businesses, and make sure that it shows that you've done that. I see hardly ever anything in these cases where they show what they've done to make sure the dog will actually perform in real life and do the things that we expect them to do. All right, so make sure and do that. I hope that was helpful to all of you that are in the bed bug dog industry, that are watching on our bed bug dog pages. I know sometimes you may watch these shows and go, how does this impact me, or how does this affect me? What I would like you to do is just hear the stories about dogs. You can relate to these stories. What I do when I'm doing a job for somebody, when I'm using the bed bug dog that we've used for detection, is that there's some good speaking points and things that people want to hear from you about stuff and about training. And I educate my customers with some of the knowledge that I have from working with dogs, and they find it very helpful, and it kind of brings them into the fold, and it really makes that relationship between you and your customer a lot stronger. And then when maybe something doesn't go well or didn't go as planned, it's not as impactful on you as far as a business. It actually is better that you have this relationship and you go, you know what, this dog just had a bad day and we may have missed something on this day. And they go, oh, yeah, I understand that. That's not, I have bad days. Yes, of course. And so you're able to have that discussion a little bit more comfortably because you've talked to them and you brought them into the fold. One of the worst things I think a bed bug dog handler can do is tell their customer, you have to wait outside while I go inside your house and do a search, but you can't be in there to watch, and they shut the door. Worst. That's absolutely the worst. You should always feel comfortable working with your dog in front of people, allowing them to watch. If you feel uncomfortable allowing people to watch you with your dog, then there's something wrong. Either your dog isn't effective or something, or the dog was selected wrong because your dog can't be trusted in front of other people. And so I've always found that very odd, that people won't search with their customers, clients, the managers of apartments in the room with them. So they could actually see what's going on, and you can explain to them what in fact is happening. So I would guard against doing that. All right. So I hope all of that was helpful. I hope I included everybody that may be watching pet dogs, police dogs, and detection dogs, and brought that training to you that may and hopefully was helpful. All right. Thanks for coming back after the first broadcast got shut down by the internet gods. I'm not sure what happened on that one, but it happens. It's the internet, and that's kind of the thing that we just accept and understand is going to be happening. All right, let's see here if I have to learn how to shut down my event here because I often forget. All right. Again, leave your comments and let me know, again, what you like, what you don't like. Let me know if you want a specific type of person, company, a dog tool interviewed coming up, and I'll see what I can do about getting them on, because now I can interview people. And some of you bedbug dog handlers, I would love to interview you about how you use a dog in your business and what it's like working with a dog. That would be fantastic. Angela or whoever else may be watching, you guys would be great on this show, so I'd love to do that. You simply need a camera and a microphone on your computer. You can use a webcam or use the computer or the camera that's on your computer. That's fine. And would love to interview one of you. If you have a dog product or dog service, I can now interview you. There's been a few people that I've threatened to interview and thought we were going to be able to do it, and it just never came about where it was going to be reliable. I mean, as reliable as the internet can be. But back 6 months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, some of this technology, this Blue Jeans that I'm using right now, just became available a week ago, and I had to apply for it to be able to use it. So the aspect of it being available back then was not there. I thought it was going to be faster to be able to get some of this technology, but it just didn't come fast. But now I have it. Now it's ready to go. I can interview just about anybody, anywhere in the world, as long as you have a camera and a microphone. So if you have something related to dogs and you want to share it with the world, let me know, and we will get you on camera and have you talk about what it is you do and how you do it. All right. Thanks for attending. I just really appreciate you guys watching. Make sure and share and like. That would be fantastic. I would really appreciate that. And leave your comments as to what you think and what you want to hear about from this point on. All right. Take care. I will talk to you later. Bye.